Hi, this is Michael Steinbacher with Electric Universe Geology Earth News. This is Red Rock Canyon. We discussed it with the earlier video. Here is Sleeping Woman Mountain, Frenchman Mountain over here. You can see the Colorado comes up here. Here's Lake Mead. So here we have this interesting formation. Geologists will tell you that 600 million years ago to the west, in an ocean somewhere out here, dolomite accumulated. 4,500 feet thick, 6,500 feet thick, and then it was thrust millions of years later on top of young Aztec sand dunes over here, and it covered them up. When I went to the park to get a geology lecture, they said it was limestone full of fossils, which I found interesting. I wasn't sure I could explain that. So I went to the BLM office down here, which actually runs the park, and I asked for the geologist. First, a woman came out and said she was from Georgia. She didn't know anything, so she said, "Let me get my boss. He's from here. He knows everything." So I asked him, "What's the deal with the limestone and the fossils?" And he says, "Well, it's not limestone, it's dolomite, and it's primarily unfossiliferous. It's called the Bonanza King Formation." I was like, "Oh, well, that's really different." So I went home and looked it up, and lo and behold, yeah, Bonanza King Formation is primarily unfossiliferous dolomite, and it's 4,500 feet thick in this neighborhood. In other places, it's up to 6,500 feet thick. So that doesn't really fit with what I was told. And then I looked up dolomite, and lo and behold, it doesn't form in oceans unless it's boiling and full of uric acid. I got a couple jokes out of that earlier. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. But comets have 7% dolomite, and there wouldn't be a lot of fossils involved. So cometary dust might explain this. It might explain the layers of shale. It might explain the sandstone, the Aztec sandstone that it's sitting on, because they all seem to be trending in the same direction. This is the Aztec sandstone. It's up to 3,000 feet high. There's canyons all along with little tiny drainages, not much to them, just little streams, dry most of the year. And they supposedly eroded these canyons, where I think these streams and drainages were running while these formations grew. And they grew in the shapes of triangles. Everything about this is a triangle of one size or another. It reminds me so much of welded tuff. One triangle grows, there's a little gap, and you get another one growing behind it, all of them trending away from us. This would be leeward. The wind would have been coming towards us. This formation would be growing back and up into the wind. Completely different than what any normal geologist would tell you. This is the face of the Aztec sandstone. It's very hard. Climbers come from all over the world. Their anchors hold very well here. And if you talk to the climbers, they'll tell you they like the dark areas. They seem to be even harder. This area seems really interesting. It's so much darker and more bubbly than the areas surrounding it. Something seems to have heated this area more than the surrounding areas and even bubbled it over here. I would go with plasma of some sort, but it's hard to say for sure, but something seems to have selectively heated certain areas. This area seems to have taken it on the chin. This all looks like it's electrically excavated to one degree or another. It causes bubbling, it causes removal of the formation, and it causes the rocks to be very hard. This is a wide shot of the same area. Here's that dark section. This is the dolomite. These are layers alternating primarily unfossiliferous dolomite, shale, and at the top it's extremely thick, very lithified, as if it was even hotter towards the end of the process, possibly because you have the same amount of plasma, current density, with diminishing amounts of dust. So the dust might get hotter if there's less of it to heat. I didn't come up with that, a friend did. I think it might be valid. You can see here where the Aztec sandstone has actually been covered by the dolomites, where the processes are coming together. Here in the background you can see the trending of the dolomite to the west and then later to the northwest. This shot shows the thickness of the cap rock. It's very, very lithified. This seems to be more like conglomerate down here. It's interesting in that this area trends to the west, this to the northwest, and as you come around, there's actually formations on this side, Lone Mountain, that trends more to the north and northeast. They claim that it broke off from this and sort of floated over. I see it more of as some sort of a vortex or an electrical filament, like watching the aurora when the filaments sweep around. This formation trends to the northeast. Same with this one. This is primarily dolomite. This is mostly dolomite with layers of welded tuff. It seems like there's a lot of electrical filaments pulling in material and sorting it and stacking it up very quickly into mountains. A really dynamic process. Thanks again for your attention.